Hello, bot developers. Welcome to the first Chatbase live stream. Really excited to have you here today. My name is Ofer Ronen. I'm the general manager of Chatbase, and Chatbase provides bot analytics and optimization. I'm looking forward today to talking about how Chatbase can help make your bots more smarter and also more viable. And so let's jump into it. So we're going to talk today about three types of conversational errors that limit your bot's viability, that make your bot really annoying to use and not able to retain users. We're then going to talk about how Chatbase can help with these issues or errors, and then we'll do a demo and talk about how you integrate Chatbase. And finally, there's a Q&A. To ask questions, please use the link at the short link at the top. You can click on it, or if the click doesn't work, just type it into a browser. Make sure to ask your questions before we get to the live demo, because by then you won't be able to see this short link. So as I get into it, please also ask questions. Well, lots of you tuning in have started building chatbots. Sometimes it's a text bot like the one shown here, where there's like a multi-turn experience back and forth. Sometimes even there's human takeover. A human would take over the conversation if the bot is not able to help the user. Bots also can be voice experiences, and they can be full screen experiences. We've seen bots that are consumer facing, and then we've seen bots that are used internally in companies. Consumer-facing ones sometimes are used for customer support or lead generation. Internal ones might help support representatives figure out what's the right answer when a customer asks a question. So there was a study by Salesforce and other partners asking what are chatbots most needed for. And what people said was that they expect answers 24/7 to simple questions, quick answers. So that's what we're seeing a lot of. Gartner did a study and found that 21% of CIOs already are building chatbots. And so it's a great start, and this is just going to accelerate. In fact, by the year 2021, over half of large companies will spend more on bots than on apps. That's pretty crazy. So lots of resources being put towards building chatbots and providing quick answers and other experiences. So at Chatbase, we've already seen over 300,000 active bots. We've done analytics for that many bots and have talked to a lot of people building bots to understand what are the acute problems that they face. And what we've learned is that often companies start with decision tree bots. They're often button-based and kind of rigid in being able to answer different kinds of questions and understand the meaning. And so they're not very versatile. And that, over time, becomes a real frustrating experience for the user. One of our customers is Amit. You can see him here. He has an app and a chatbot that help with fitness. It's like a coach, personal coach. It helps you with your fitness. You can see he's a very heavy user of his own app and chatbot. What he shared with us is that it's initially maybe it's easy to figure out what's not working with your bot when the volume of users is low, but quickly as your chatbot user base grows, it becomes really hard. It's not scalable to figure out all the corner cases, all the things that are broken in your bot. So it's a really tough thing, and it's the problem that comes with more successful bots. Across the board, we've seen three kinds of errors that come up. They're called errors. And these are errors in conversation that really are frustrating for users. These are the ones that cause high churn. And so when we say we mean unsupported, misunderstood, or missed requests. And we're going to talk about each of those and give examples just so it's really crystal clear what are these three problems. Before we do that though, we've seen that these errors come up 12% of the time. And that's really going to hurt retention. Imagine an app that crashes 12% of the time. Is it going to be able to keep its users? No. So similar with bots, if 12% of the time the bot's like raising its hands, doesn't know what to do, that can really hurt the experience. Okay, so let's talk about the first type of error, unsupported request errors. So these are features that users are asking for, but the bot doesn't support yet. So it hasn't been built, there's no intent for it built into the bot. Here's an actual example from one of our clients, which is an e-commerce client. People are complaining that they didn't receive their refund. And look at all the different ways they're asking for, or are complaining about this. They're saying they didn't receive it, didn't get it, it was promised. So you can imagine that all these should be built out into an intent that the bot supports, especially if this is one of the more common kind of user requests or complaints. Okay, so the second type of error is misunderstood request errors. And in this case, the user said X, and the bot thought they said Y. And this is probably the most acute issue when the bot starts going down one path and you want it to go down a different path. And here's, again, an actual example. This is a bank in South Africa, and it gives investment advice. But a lot of users are asking for definitions. In this case, what's a tax-free investment? They want the definition of that. And the bot messes up and gives them tax-free investment options. And so this is a misunderstood request, and really it should map to the definition, define tax-free investment. And then the user can maybe ask for options, but first explain it to them because that's what they asked for. Finally, we have missed request errors, and these we've seen are some of the most common errors. It's either missed or unsupported. Between those two, depending on the bot, they're the most common. And what these are situations where you might recognize 100 ways of saying something and mapping it to an intent, but there might be 100 more ways that people are saying it that you don't recognize. So other variations of the same request, and the bot is now mapping those. And these are missed opportunities. You have a chance to service the user with an intent you've built, but you're just not connecting the dots. And here's an example from a client. People are saying, hey, I'm frozen, locked out, blocked, and there's already this account suspend intent, which would match perfectly with these kind of issues raised by users. And so there's a real opportunity to find all the different ways of saying the account suspend kind of complaint and then mapping it to that intent. And again, otherwise it's a missed opportunity to help the user. Okay, so we've gone through the three types. And now what we've seen from talking to clients is they have teams of people looking for these errors. We've seen teams of 5 to 15 business analysts, and all they do is look through logs to find these kind of errors. And it's very manual. It can take hours and hours, day, night, of just looking through logs, trying to tally these and figure out what intents to fix or build. So this is where Chatbase comes in and really saves you time. We have this not handled report, and in a second I'll go over the handled side of things. Not handled are experiences your bot, it pretty much falls on its face. It doesn't know what to do with these user requests. And the not handled report can help you with unsupported and missed errors. For example, this is a travel chatbot, and you can see down here people are asking for summer deals. And the summer deals, there's 100 of people asking for it, and 4 rows down, and the bot pretty much says, I don't know what you want from me, or please ask it a different way. And so it's a missed opportunity to really provide the user what he wants. So that's an example of unsupported request. And then the second row is someone asking for the menu, or they want to go back to the main menu. 175 people asked for that, and there's likely already an intent for that. And so that's an opportunity to address a missed error and take the user back to the main menu. So if we go to the handled side, you can here expose misunderstood errors. So for example, there's a rent car intent, and it has a really high exit rate. People are leaving the session right after triggering this intent. 73% of them are leaving. And so that's something's fishy there. So if you look at that, you can see that rent a room for some reason got mapped to rent car, and it affected 25 people, and 78% exit rate drove that high exit rate for this intent. And so that's a misunderstood situation, and there's an opportunity to fix that. To get all this working within Chatbase, there's 2 fields that you need to set, the intent field and then the not handled field, just so we can separate out these kind of issues in these reports and group by intent when you know the intent. And we're going to go more over the integration later and talk about this again. Now we're going to switch a little bit to an early access program that some of you already are participating in, and others can request access. And you can request access by emailing chatbase-support@google.com. And this is us using machine learning to take fixing of errors a step further. So let's talk about that. What we can do with machine learning is first cluster the similar ways of saying things. Instead of using a heuristic, which we use currently, we're moving towards machine learning clustering, where you're grouping the similars. If you look, for example, at the missed kind of example at the bottom, people asking for my homes and my classified are, different ways of saying that are grouped together, and all that can be mapped to my listings, which is pretty much the same thing. So you can see these clusters and patterns around new functionality with unsupported and so on. Misunderstood and missed each have those clusters. And then the next step is to suggest intents. So for unsupported requests, these are the new features you could build. We might suggest a new intent to build. With misunderstood, we would suggest an alternate intent. You're mislabeled this cluster. And finally, with missed, we would suggest an existing intent. Here's another way of saying the same thing that you already support, and we would connect the dots. One of the things we found is really useful, and this is actually available outside of this early access program, is that you can zoom in to any group or cluster, and by looking at transcripts, it makes it really clear, in this case, like where you should build this listing status kind of feature. So it gives you the context of when this comes up in conversations, and that clarifies what exactly to fix or build. So we're fortunate to be able to use machine learning models from Google Research, and so some of the best people in machine learning are helping us with this capability, with finding the errors better and labeling the fixes. And this is what the early access program looks like. The difference is you can see that we suggest intents. In this case, it's again a travel chatbot. Someone asks for SF, and we say that's probably an airport intent. Someone specifying where they want to, an airport they're flying to or from. And then in terms of an example of how this early access program has helped one of the largest e-commerce sites, they had 5 people working on finding errors, 5 business analysts, and then they tried the Chatbase machine learning early access program, and now they're going to go down to just 1 or 2 analysts because Chatbase results were more accurate, they were faster to get, and obviously cheaper. So now we're going to switch over to a demo so you can see Chatbase in action. And any of you that want to do this as I'm doing it can feel free to go chatbase.com and click on the sign in button up here. And yeah, and then you would go into this Chatbase overview report. And just to walk you a little bit through it, we help you find growth metrics like active users. We help you find engagement metrics like how deep into the conversation users went, almost 4 turns in this case. And we help you with retention. And you could go deeper into that report and filter by intent, so you can see how you're retaining users around different use cases. So all that's nice and good, and some of it should be familiar if you've used app or website analytics. But where Chatbase is really special and helps you the most is in the optimizing of your bot. This is like the powerful part of Chatbase, and we've already talked about not handled for this travel. So this is again the travel bot. You're maybe booking a flight or a hotel. And 11% of the time, the bot's like, I don't know what you want from me. It doesn't know what to do. It's a not handled experience. And so we're going to talk in a second about that, and also talk about session flow, which helps contextualize. When does this issue come up in conversation? It shows you the exact place in the bot. And so let's switch over to the not handled report. And we've already seen this earlier in this live stream. But what I wanted to point out is with the summer deals, you can bring up the transcript to see when it comes up in conversation. And again, this contextualizes, this end session flow will help you see when in conversation it comes up. So you can figure out where you might want to put a button, and you can look through a bunch of examples of transcripts for this summer deal request, which 100 people have asked for. And then you can also bring up the session flow, and this is an interactive diagram. It shows you, for example, that 29% of people wanted to book a hotel, and of those, there's almost 3% that asked for those summer deals. So it was not handled right after people wanting to book a hotel, and some of them exited at that point. And so you have an opportunity to maybe build a button there for summer deals. If you follow some of the other paths, like people want to go to New York for leisure, you can expand those as well. So this is really useful. This is useful both for showing your executive sponsor, what's really happening in your bot, what are the common use cases and things remaining to fix. And it can be used by developers and PMs to study in detail what's going on. So now we're going to talk about the documentation and the integration. So you can go to chatbase.com and click on the docs to see how you can integrate. There's a quick start guide to get people going, but I want to point out that we have both a generic integration. So regardless of how you build your bot or where you deploy it, the generic integration works, and you can send messages individually or in bulk. And then if you happen to have a Facebook Messenger bot, we also have this native API or integration which lets you send a JSON, and it's a little bit easier to get that out, a little bit less steps. Finally, let me point out the two key features to enable a lot of like the magic that I showed you. So intents and intents and the not handled. So you have these details here that will help. Okay, so in terms of not handled, all you have to do is just set not handled to true when your bot doesn't know how to respond or does a fallback kind of intent. So now we're going to go to Q&A. So we do have a couple questions that came in earlier that I can talk about. And in our next live stream, we'll make sure to get that working well, and people can ask questions. Okay, so actually, let me just also mention, you can always email us at chatbase-feedback@google.com with questions. So one question that came up is Chatbase integrated with Dialogflow? So this is actually a common question that we get, and yes, so we actually power within Dialogflow the analytics tab that's there. Dialogflow is Google's chatbot building solution. So we power a basic set of analytics within the product, and we're now working on a full codeless integration. So we'll keep you posted on when that works. But once that's out, you'd be able to just build a Dialogflow bot and automatically get the full Chatbase service without any code. Okay, so that's one question. Okay, actually, here's another question. So is there a way to export chat-based data? Is a question that came up. And so, yes, today we have in the Messages tab, if you look on the top right of the table, there's a way to download a CSV with data. And then, if people have other ways that they'd like to extract data, please email us. We're happy to work on additional ways to do that. But you can already take advantage of downloading the CSV. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in today to the live stream. So excited to have this first live stream. We're going to do more of these and go over more capabilities and help. We hope to help you chatbot developers build amazing bots that grow over time their user base. So please take a look at chatbase.com and reach out if you have questions. Thank you so much.